secretly, and then she has a newborn.
So
we don't really know if that's...
Is the newborn
Harry's...
her husband's, or is it Harry's kid?
What do you think?
I catch it at the end when Veronica and Harry, or when Harry and Veronica have that confrontation, and she says, you want to run off with like your new wife and kid, but I don't know if it's really implied that is Liam Neeson's kid, or because he's going to run off with Amanda, he's going to basically inherit the kid as well.
You think it was his?
That's his fucking
kid. You think
kid.
it is? Behind his buddy's back?
I think because of what she said and how she said it.
Especially if it is his kid, then that would make him feel more justified, like, let me just get rid of this motherfucker, you know? I know he killed other people, his whole crew, but I feel like he would feel less bad. Harry had, I guess, paid Jack $1 million to cover up his murder, right? Or to make him, to fake his death authentically, right? And that's why, towards the end, he gets pissed at Harry's character, where he's like, you're gonna be coming back in the worst way if I don't get my money.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, which means he'll tell the Mannings that he's still alive, and then the Mannings will turn loose on Harry. And that's something that he doesn't want, because it means that he basically has to look over his shoulder all the time, or disappear for real.
Viola Davis tends to be kind of depicted as this, like, she has this sort of presence about her, right? This very, like, strong but very eloquent type of person. But they actually kind of, not necessarily strip her down as in she's naked, but they put her in this, wife beater. And they show a very powerful, a very strong, a very kind of, like, athletically built black woman. Which I thought was fucking fantastic. It's fantastic.
That's my word. You
I
can't
know.
use that.
Every time that he says fantastic, somebody has to take a shot. That was very fucking awesome to me, because you don't see that very often. Like, these stereotypes about movies and these stereotypes about who gets shot first, or, the very obvious role of who's going to go down first, and that doesn't necessarily happen with either Viola Davis or with Belle. Which I thought was very fucking important. But they show them as very strong, very powerful, very just... I don't even know how to explain it.
Almost one step ahead of everyone as well, too. Like,
they don't necessarily try to, do too much makeup. They don't try to do too much with the costume. They just kind of put them as strong, powerful black women, which is very fucking important.
Especially Viola Davis having her natural hair.
Exactly.
Through the whole thing.
Exactly.
No wigs, nothing like that. Yeah, I agree.
I really like how she brings the other two women in, says, this is what we're going to do. And they say, well, why you? Why are you the one in charge? And she says, I'm the one that's standing between you and a bullet. Either you do what I say, how I say, or, you take your chances.
Basically, if they say that they're not going to help, she's going to give their names to the Mannings, right? It's implied in the sauna. Yeah.
And I like that she takes charge and is basically the one that's setting up every single step of the heist. And not just setting it up, but also what's really cool is the scene where they have all the Tupperware. And she's loading it up with the sand and putting it in the bags and saying, this is what, however much money $1 million feels like if it's all in 20s or 50s or hundreds, whatever it is. Feel the weight, get used to it.
So she makes them run back and forth.
Yeah, it makes them practice. Reminds me of that scene in Tenet where they're talking about ripping off the Freeport, but that you need to hold your breath for a certain amount of time because of the halon gas that's going to come in. And you see both Pattinson and John David Washington holding their breath and practicing as they're moving back and forth, carrying these things, trying to figure out what's the best way for me to hold my breath for this amount of time while I'm exerting myself doing all this. And that's what that scene reminds me of, is the planning that goes into, this is what the weight is going to feel like. You need to get used to it. You need to be able to handle it, because we're going to be carrying this stuff out, and we need to move in this amount of time to get in and out. And that was one of the, not only that scene, but other scenes that I really like, where it's not just, oh yeah, we're gonna heist, and then here's us pulling off the heist. It's, we need to set this up. We need to get the van. We need to get the guns. We need to get the, you know, the weight of the money in the bags. We need to be prepared for all of these contingencies, just in case. This is going to make us a stronger crew. We're not going to show up like a bunch of fucking amateurs and mess things up, or, like Susie said, you know, get killed or fuck this up and lose the money. And that's why when Kaluuya shows up at the end, I don't think that it's necessarily that they expected that to happen. It's just, we did all of this. This is our money. We're not just going to let you come in and take it from us, and then, you know, we're just going to let that happen. They had fought to not necessarily stay alive, but to not end up dead by planning and pulling off this heist. And, you know, we are the ones that kind of went through every single step of it. And that's why they don't want Kaluuya taking it, and that's why she doesn't want Harry taking it at the end either. Beyond all the obvious.
What's stupid about Kaluuya's character doing that to them is that they would have gotten their money back, right? She would have paid them the $2 million that they owed, because that was the plan, is to pay them the $2 million and then split up the rest of it between them, right?
I also like how this movie gets into, it's not just a heist movie, it's also kind of about politics.
Yeah, like a political thriller as well.
Yeah, because there's the whole, you know, alderman election between Mulligan and Manning. There's that great scene where you see him, you know, kind of propping up the business initiative for the black women in the city. You see him give that speech, and he's in kind of a rundown part of the city, and then he gets in the car, and the camera just stays on the car the entire ride, and it's only like, what, a mile or so that they drive, and they go from kind of a rundown part of the city to a very nice part of the city, you know, townhouses and everything, with
and one tracking shot
that's maybe a minute or two long. Yeah. So you kind of see the disparity.
Yeah, it's saying a lot without beating you over the head with it, you know.
I know you two have never seen The Wire.
I've seen episodes here and there, just not straight through. But I plan on doing it though.
The third season of The Wire starts getting into not just like the crime aspect, but also the city politics aspect. And this movie reminded me a lot of The Wire, like third season on, where it's not just the crime movie; it's also having a lot to do with like city politics and everything. And this is what this film reminds me of. Check out The Wire. Fucking great show.
Maybe that's why you appreciate this so much, because it reminds you of something that you love already.
Yeah, right. That's true.
Do you guys have a soft spot for any of his, or I should say, Chris? Do you like any of McQueen's other works?
I'll tell you a secret. The only other movie of his I've seen is Shame.
So, booyah, you can ask both of us that question.
You never watched 12 Years a Slave?
No, I've seen parts of it. I ran it as a test run for the San Diego Film Festival. The parts I saw were pretty harrowing. The thing that turned me off, I still want to watch the movie, but the thing that turned me off to it was, after I had run it, one of the studio execs was like, oh, so what do you think? Do we have an Oscar winner on our hands? And it really just bummed me out, because I was like, wow, like, did you literally just make this movie to win an award and not tell this incredible story? So that question and that attitude that the guy had really put me off to it. I'm not saying that it's not a great movie. Like I said, what I saw of it was very harrowing. And Chiwetel Ejiofor is fantastic, as is Lupita Nyong'o. I don't know, it was just the way that guy asked that question and it came off to me, it made it seem very much like he didn't really give a shit about telling a good story.
Did he say that like in a Q&A or something?
No, he like said it to me after I ran the test run for him.
So he said it to you.
Yeah, and I came down to check, is everything okay? You know, picture, sound, is there anything that needs to be bumped up or whatever? And he's like, oh yeah, so what do you think? Do we have an Oscar winner on our hands? So I was very meh after that. I do want to watch the movie. I think it's set up on my DVR right now.
Yeah, it's on HBO.
Yeah, it's running on HBO.
It's a hard watch.
Yeah, and that's, like I said, it was very harrowing what I saw of it when I did the test run, but I haven't seen it all the way through. But the only other movie of his I have seen was Shame. I haven't seen Hunger. I didn't watch any of the Small Axe movies. I haven't seen any of those yet. But yes, I do want to check out his other movies.
For Gillian Flynn, she wrote Gone Girl, the book, and then
I think she adapted the screenplay too.
Yeah, and Sharp Objects, which
I don't care for Sharp Objects.
You didn't like it either?
No, that shit was boring as hell.
Exactly. They spend like 7 episodes just like meandering along, and then the 8th episode, everything is like crammed into 1 hour.
I think,
and none of it holds together.
It was like half an hour fucking shooting of a fucking bedroom. It's like, wow, blue walls, great.
I think they shot that and Widows at the same time.
Yeah, because like I think Sharp Objects was on HBO as a miniseries over that summer, and then Widows opened up in November.
I will say this: Sharp Objects has a good soundtrack.
It does.
But I think you are also a little bit more patient than we are.
Yeah, I didn't have a problem with the... I thought that it was very, like, an acquired taste. Like, I could understand why you guys would hate it.
Well, you liked the Ruffalo miniseries, too, which I couldn't sit through.
I did.
I barely got through 2 episodes of that, and then I said, fuck it, I'm done.
But it's Derek C. and Friends, who I fucking love. So I'm like, I'm biased, I guess.
Well, Jean-Marc Vallée did Sharp Objects, right? And Dallas Buyers Club is great, and Wild is very, very good. Even Demolition is okay. And I know that Susie liked...
Gyllenhaal, right? Demolition?
Yeah. What was the other miniseries? Big Little Lies.
Oh, that was a great show.
See? But Sharp Objects just could not connect with it at all. I was so fucking bored.
And it's Amy pissed. Adams, so that's saying something.
That's saying a lot, because you know him with Amy Adams. Chris and Amy Adams is like Wesley and Ryan Gosling.
All I'm saying is Arrival is one of the best movies of the last decade. That's all I'm saying. And she was absolutely overlooked. The movie I was talking about earlier, which was another female-fronted movie from that same year that's fucking fantastic, is Annihilation.
That's right, yeah.
That just came out and was kind of ignored and didn't make a whole lot of money.
Natalie Portman, Oscar Isaac.
Mm-hmm. Tessa Thompson. But Widows and Annihilation both come out in the same year, both female-fronted, make roughly the same amount of money, and are kind of largely ignored.
Did Annihilation, I don't know if you know off the top of your head, but did it have a bigger budget than Widows?
I think the budget was roughly the same.
Really?
Yeah. Don't quote me on that, I didn't get a chance to do the research, but I think that the budget is roughly the same, and it makes the same amount of money.
Very interesting doing this show with both of you, because it's a very different type of attention to specifics. The very ending scene is fantastic, just based on the fact that, like, how everything happens, because she completely goes against everything what she was saying. Once the deal is done, once the job is done, like, we're done. This is just a job. We're just gonna basically save our lives, and this is done. But then she kind of goes back on that.
Because she sees Alice in the restaurant, right?
What does she do with the money?
She donates it
her part of the money.
Yeah. She says, "Can you make a library with my son's name?"
Yes, yes. She donates it to the school and says, build a library in my son's name, And then the film ends with her
Being
saying,
happy.